Baruch Habayim. I am filling it in again for Rabbi Yusewitz, who's still out for a family simcha, and we are learning Teshuva Perek Yud, which is the last perek of Sefer Mada or Hamada, and we will, Emir Hashem, begin next the Sefer Ahava. And as a nice segue, the final perek here of Hilchas Teshuva deals with, because we spoke about how to fix any past mistakes that we had. And then yesterday the Rambam talked about what should be our proper motivation in serving the Eibishter and in knowing what exactly is Elam Haba and how to fit all the promises, the physical promises and the physical punishments that are listed in the Torah. And so today we turn to say, now that we know what the reward for the mitzvahs are, says the Rambam in Perek Yud that what's the real reason to do a mitzvah is Ahavas Hashem, Ahava. And our Ahavas Hashem is a perfect segue to Ahava, Sefer Ahava, which we'll talk about Hashem's Ahava for us and the mitzvahs that reflect that. So here we go. Perek Yud Halacha Aleph. Al Yimer Adam. Let a person should not say Hareini Yosef mitzvahs HaTorah v'Yosef b'Chachmasa K'nei she'akabel kol abrachas haksuvis ba. A person shouldn't say, I am hereby going to do the mitzvahs of Torah and to learn and engage in its wisdom in order to receive all the blessings which are written in it, which is referring to the physical blessings we just discussed in Perek Tes. Or I'm going to do the mitzvahs and learn the Torah in order to merit life in Olam Haba, the existence of Olam Haba, which we spoke about a little bit in Perek Tes, but really explored at length earlier in Perek Ches. And likewise, I will fulfill the leisa says. In other words, I will stay away from the averis that the Torah warns us not to do, so that I will avoid and will be saved from the negative things, the curses that are written in the Torah, the physical consequences of failing to keep the mitzvahs and to do averis, or in a more a wiser person, but also still a person who's motivated by self-interest. He shouldn't say that I will avoid Avedis in order not to lose Elam Haba, not to be cut off from Elam Haba. It is not fitting to serve Hashem in this way for these reasons. One who serves in this way, for these reasons, is called by the Rambam Ovid Meira, one who serves Hashem out of fear. Even the interest in attaining the reward is also in a way of fear, a fear of losing the possible reward, or a fear of living without those rewards. Meaning it's still self-interested. This is not the quality of Nevi'im, nor is it the quality of Chachamim, of wise people. The only ones who worship Hashem for these reasons are the general public. The Rambam was writing in his generation for the schooled. He was expecting those who was learning Yad HaChazaka, people that are Talmidei Chachamim. Amei Haaretz were referred to those who did not take an interest in learning, did not take an interest in developing their connection to Torah directly, and they lived lives of Torah mitzvahs, but only so far as they were led and guided by their teachers. And so they, in their unschooled, unsophisticated way, would serve Hashem, motivated by these self-interested motivations of getting a reward or not getting a certain punishment. Also women, who in those days were not educated the way we are now in the later generations, in Ikvus of Nushicha, Laktanim, or those who are still small, who have not yet learned any better. That in those days, because the Amir chose not to go to school, and the women were not able to go to school because it wasn't set up for them, and there wasn't opportunity for them, and the Ktanim who hadn't yet had the life experience, hadn't had the years yet to be schooled, and so they had to keep the Torah mitzvahs, but they didn't have the time, they didn't have the opportunity to invest in a deeper motivation and a deeper understanding of why to do the mitzvahs. Like everybody, we start off nasa v'nishma. We're just doing it because we have to do it, and if we need to be motivated, we can be threatened or bribed. So we're mechanech them. Everyone who's starting off on their journey, if they're starting off because they're amiharetz, they're starting off because they're women and they're not schooled, they're starting off because they're young in years, we start off always right away telling them, serve Hashem because it's worth it for your sake. But all of those who can expand their das are able to serve Hashem, and that's really the true destination that we all want to arrive at in terms of our motivation. We want to get to a place where we're serving Hashem Me'ava. What is Oived Me'ava? Says the Rambam in Halacha Beis, Perek Yud Halacha Beis. Oived Me'ava, one who serves Hashem from a place of love, motivated by love. He engages with Torah, he studies Torah, and he does the mitzvahs, and he walks in the paths of Chachma, of wisdom. Not for any ulterior motive in the world, not because he's afraid and he needs to be protected from or needs to avoid painful things, evil things, not because he's hoping to inherit and receive beneficial, positive, pleasant things. He does that which is true, and he tries to understand what is true simply because that is true. And any good that results is incidental. When you do what is right and do what is good, you can be sure that taiva will come, but that's not the motivation. Now, even though the alternative, the other approach we said is the approach of those who are so unschooled or haven't invested, haven't unrefined, unsophisticated, it's not either or. To achieve, right? We could try to serve Hashem. Everybody has to start serving Hashem. Nasa v'nishma. We start off with Nasa. And then we try Nishma. We try to reach a state where we absorb and internalize the value of truth for truth's sake. But really, to achieve that, to reach that state where that's really our motivation, and our only motivation is a tremendous quality, a very, very great quality, which not all who are, even those who are wise, not everybody merits to achieve that state. Avraham Avinu, one who did achieve that state, one who can be said to have achieved this position of serving Hashem simply because it was true, simply out of love of truth and of Gedlichkeit, is Avraham Avinu. Shakra Yakadosh Baruch Hu, Oyavi Hashem refers to him as my beloved, my friend. Why was he my beloved? Why was he the one who loves me? Because that was the motivation for his Avodas Hashem. His connection to Hashem was motivated simply by love. And this is the Maila, this is the station and the stature and the position which, even though, as we said, it's a big achievement and not everybody merits it. This is the quality that Hashem commands us to strive for through Moshe Rabbeinu. He commands us. Moshe tells us in the name of Hashem, you are to love Hashem, your God. You are to achieve motivation of love. If a person loves Hashem, he will immediately be motivated and he will be driven to fulfill the mitzvahs, simply driven by that love. Halacha Gimel. What is this ahava re'uya, which he said right, when a person loves Hashem, ahava re'uya, the fitting love. What is this fitting love? Who shayahav savaya ahava gedela yesera azam ma'od. He should love Hashem with a great and intense love, a very intense love. Ad shetei nafshik shura ba'avas Hashem, to the point where his soul, his spirit, is so connected and so focused on the love of Hashem. He is constantly occupied with the Eibishter and Eibishter's being and Hashem's will. like we would describe someone who is sick with the sickness of love. In English, there's a term lovesick, a person who has who has uh, who has adopted or experiences a feeling of love that is sick, that's out of whack with what is the normal balanced behavior. If you would ask somebody who is involved in refuah nefesh, they would say this is not healthy. This is not the balanced kind of love which leaves place for yourself, which allows you to act rationally and so on. This is a love that's sick. And such a person whose mind he can't stop thinking about the subject of his love, in this case a woman, and he's constantly occupied with matters pertaining to her, whether he is seating, meaning like we learned yesterday, seating means resting, relaxed, inactive, whether he's active and standing and moving, whether he is eating or drinking. He's constantly occupied with thoughts of this person. Yes, Miza. So that's the mashal. What's the nimshal? The nimshal is that our Avos Hashem should be of this nature. Avos Hashem believe ayav shegim batamit. So obviously, when it comes to the love of Hashem, this is the intensity of the love. This is the preoccupation a person should have with Hashem. But obviously, in connection to Hashem, it's not sick. It's not out of balance. It's not unhealthy for a person's entire existence to be preoccupied with the one who created him and the purpose for which he was created. So even though the mashal is not an example that we would recommend, but when it comes to if the subject and the object of our love is Hashem, then that is the exact level of intensity that we're looking for. We're looking for a person who can't stop thinking about the Eibishter, can't stop, puts the Eibishter before himself in every way, and his only interest is in making the Eibishter happy. Like Hashem tells us, right? The love of Hashem in the heart of those who love Him should be a constant preoccupation, which is as we are commanded, with all of your heart, and with all of your soul. And this is what Shlomo HaMelech said by way of a mashal, right? So he uses this exact mashal of being lovesick. He says about the Eibishter, I am chelas ahava, I am sick with love. I am lovesick. This is the intent of Shir Hashirim, which is presented as a description of the attitude, the feelings of a man towards a woman, or a woman towards a man, which is used as a mashal for the love that a person, that a neshama, and that a yid is supposed to feel for the Eibishter. And again, what would be inappropriate or excessive in one context is absolutely appropriate and obligatory in the other. So obviously we don't go overboard in the mashal of chelas ahava to another human being, but that it serves as a good mashal for the love of Hashem. Halacha daled. Amr chacham rishenim said, Shem ha'taimar hareini leimed Torah b'shvil she'eheya ashir. Lest a person say, I'm going to learn Torah in order that I will be an ashir. B'shvil she'akari rabbi. In order that I will be called a Rebbe, right? I want to profit from it somehow through charging for my shurim or something like that. I want to learn Torah in order, or maybe I'll be sponsored by people, by donations. Rabbi, I want to learn Torah so that I will get smicha and I will get the kavod of being called a Rabbi, or give shurim b'sash be called a Rabbi. I want to right. This goes back to what we're saying before. I'm going to learn Torah in order to get schar ne'olam haba, right? So he's going back from lower, more crass versions of these motivations. Of money is the lowest, most materialistic kind of motivation, but it's self-interested and it's focused on money. Then you have kavod, which is more abstract, it's more spiritual, but it's also very crass, very materialistic. And then the third level is I want to experience Olam Haba. I want to be able to enjoy the Ziv HaShechina, the radiance of Hashem. And all these motivations, the Chacham say, are inappropriate. Hashem, that we are told to do mitzvahs la'avas Hashem in order to love Hashem. All that you do should only be out of love, be only driven by love. Chacham says further, When he describes a yid, the proper attitude you should have, it says he is very much desires Hashem's mitzvahs, and the Rambam notes that it doesn't say that he very much wants the reward for Hashem's mitzvahs. It says that he wants Hashem's mitzvahs. If not for the reward, why does he want the mitzvahs? Because the fact that they're mitzvahs, that they're commandments of Hashem and their ways of connecting to Hashem, that is the motivation enough, and that's really what a yid is supposed to desire. And this is what the great sages would instruct and command the wise and their wise and discerning talmidim, those who they gave insight to, beyichud, and meaning specifically to those who had a little seichel. And the Rambam says this. I'll tell you in a second. So, what would these original sages, these early sages, say to their talmidim? Al tiyu, and we just a quote from Perek Yavis. Al tiyu kavadam shamshnas harav amnas v'kabel pras al meshu harav roy l'shamshe. That we should not serve our master. We should not be like servants who serve their master in order to receive the master's reward. Rather, we should serve him because he is a master. And a master is roy l'shamshe. It's fitting and worthy to serve him. Even though me'ava, in other words, they were telling their talmidim, serve, worship me'ava. The reason why the Rambam says that the Chachamim would tell their worthy students, and not they would tell all their students, is because of a tragic story, episode in history, which had terrible ramifications for many years and generations to come. We know this quote in Perek Yavis from Antignish Isaichai, and he taught his talmidim exactly that. That we should not serve in order to receive a reward, but just not with the intent to receive a reward. And he had two talmidim who heard that message and misunderstood. And they thought that their Rebbe was saying that there is no reward for Torah mitzvahs, and so they decided there's no reward for Torah mitzvahs if all there is just doing it because it's right. They preferred to get some sort of reward, and they went off the deep end, and they went off the proper path. Not only they themselves, they took others with them. The two, they were called the Tzaddik. Tzaddik was one of them. Baitus was another one of the Talmidim, and they founded schools of thought and the approaches within Torah, not in Torah, but in the corruption of Torah. They were called Tzedukim and Baitusim. And they totally corrupted everything, all because they misunderstood their Rebbe's teaching of not serving in order to get the reward. They thought that meant there's no reward, and so that's why the Rambam says that. I guess from that point on, the Chachamim would only tell their worthy students this message, and the message for us, the same thing, is that we should know that there definitely is a reward. But we should also know that that's not worthy of to be our motivation. Anyone who involves himself in Torah in order to receive reward, anybody who learns Torah in order to receive reward or in order to prevent paranus, we call such a person that he's Isaac Shleil Shema, is involved in Torah Shleil Shema. By contrast, someone who has followed the Rambam's advice to this point, and he's learning Torah not out of fear, not because he's interested in the schar, but rather because of his love for the Master of the world, Lord of all the earth, who has commanded us to do these things. So he is described as Isaac Lishma. He's doing it for its own sake, for the sake of emes, for the sake of Torah. So you might don't think that the right thing to do is to sit at home and to gaze at your navel, as they say, to meditate and try to evolve and grow in your attitude and only serve Hashem when you have the right attitude. Chacham say no, you should do, even if your motivation is like a child or an unschooled person who has not yet developed himself, and your motivation is only to get the jelly bean, to get the candy, to get the reward, to get the ilm haba, and that's all that's motivating you now, that's fine. That's not the end that we're looking for, but that's a good starting point. Start with that and serve Hashem Shalei Lishma. Why? Because Mitech Shalei Lishma Ba Lishma, like it says Amar Shava, the light and the emes and the ruchnis of Torah will ensure, will guarantee that a person that even learns Shalei Lishma, he's learning Torah, and the Torah will have an effect on him and help him achieve service of Hashem for its own sake. And that's why that's the education system. That's the way the Yidden taught their children all the years. When we teach children and women and any amaretz, meaning anyone in the category of who is just now starting in their avodas Hashem and has not yet developed, hasn't had yet the time or the opportunity to develop a appreciation for MS for its own sake. It is appropriate, it's correct. And not only that, is we don't try a different approach. We go to tell them that you should know there's a reason to be afraid to do the wrong thing, and there's a very good motivation to do the right thing, because there will be good rewards for people that do the right thing, and there will be terrible punishments if you do the wrong thing. And that's how you're supposed to start. Until their mind expands, and not their mind. We know as Chassidim, that das is not just intellect; it is the ability to bridge and to the between intellect and emotion, the ability to realize that the things that we learn have an impact in the real world and are actual real things. So when that link is stronger, and we start to realize that those things that we're studying, the emes of the Eibishter is actually is describing the real world. That Chassidus and Torah is not a curriculum to a self-contained academic world, but is actually just like a physics workbook that describes how gravity works and how electricity works. Everybody knows that that's practical information. And when a person's das expands and he's able to realize that everything that we're learning about Torah and about Eibishter and about the world in Torah is actual, like a workbook. It's describing the physical reality, and beyond the physical reality, the truth, what the eternal reality, what's really worthy of pursuing, is Chakim Chacham say, and they achieve and they attain greater wisdom. Then Megalim Lahem Razeh Ma'at Ma'at, we reveal to them this secret slowly and carefully, Margilim Inyan Zeh Benachas, and we accustom them to this attitude carefully and gently, until they will achieve it and grasp it and attain it and know it and serve Hashem me'ahava. So we slowly try to wean a person off of the self-interested motivations that he might have, and inculcate in them and engrave in them the love of MS and the interest in MS just for its own sake with Mesiras Nefesh. It's worth pointing out here that the Rebbe in Sichas connected to Parashas Vayera, I believe, the Rebbe talks about how even nowadays even children are able to cry and say, "Why doesn't the Eibishter appear to me like Avram Avinu, like he appears to Avram Avinu?" That motivation, that desire to connect with the Eibishter is something that, as we come closer to Mashiach's times, and as the Gashmis is more and more refined from its starting position, we are capable of getting straight to business. So I'm not going to wade into telling mechanechim how to be mechanech, whether you're a teacher or a parent, but the Rambam's advice here and the Rambam's guidance here, that we are supposed to start with Yira and Ava, can be supplemented by what the Rebbe tells us that today, and we see it very clearly by the Tzivus Hashem, the innocent and idealistic children, that they can be and are motivated by knowing that something gives Eibishter nachas and allows them to connect to Eibishter. That maybe it's not the exclusive foundation, but it's something that we shouldn't leave off the table. I don't know if the Rambam necessarily disagree with that over here, but if to the extent that there is any gap between that and this, the Rambam is speaking as a foundational Yesayid in Chinuch and in Torah. The Rebbe is speaking specifically to our generation and adapting and adjusting it for our generation. So we have to know that a Yid is able nowadays we do have through all the sacrifice of all the generations, we have developed to a point. The world has developed to a point where even a child is able to feel. If we don't, we make sure that we shouldn't corrupt it. We shouldn't mess it up by exposing them to the wrong things and getting them accustomed to being motivated by other things. But if we are careful and we foster that, we can get to that point quicker and easier maybe. Anyways, we now turn to halacha vav, the final halacha of Sefer Mada, the final halacha of Hilchos Teshuva Perek Yud halacha vav. Davar yadua border. There's something that is well known and clear. She'ein avos hakadosh baruch hu nikshes b'livi shel adam ad sheyishgi b'talmud torah. The love of Hashem is not, as much as we know it's rooted deeply in a person's neshama, it comes natural to a yid, but it doesn't attach itself to our heart as we are here, in a physical body connected with the nefesh Bahamas. So it doesn't inhabit our heart in a permanent way unless we occupy ourselves with it constantly and thoroughly. And we abandon all other pursuits in this world. We were talking by the Fabrengen on Shabbos that when a person needs to, if a person finds that he has so many, he's shaken to his core, how does he find his way back through Torah? So you have to realize, you have to remember, it's not enough. Bumper stickers won't get you if you have a small problem. A quick reminder, a quick l'chaim, a quick pasuk and a quick bumper sticker will snap you out of it. But if you let yourself get shaken, or if you're just starting out, like the Rambam is saying, and if something is affecting you very deeply, you shouldn't be afraid of knowing that a larger problem means a larger investment in fixing it. The Rambam says you're not going to find Avos Hashem permanently lodged in your heart unless you invest. You have to you have to occupy yourself with it constantly, which is the Asay Taiv part of it. You have to be willing to put things on the side. There are things in the world that are outside of this pursuit. And if you're going to invest in those things, it's going to take away from this thing. You have to be able to let something go in order to certain things that are drawing chayis, that are strengthening your nefesh Bahamas, strengthening your investment in this world, and your avay zaris, your love to other things. You have to be able to let those things go. A part of it here says you have to learn. Like a person only loves the Eibishter when he has das, when he has clarity, intellectual clarity, and also clarity that can bridge that gap between what is true and what is real. Sometimes something is true, but it doesn't feel real. And we have das allows it to feel real. According to the way that dea meaning awareness intellectually, but also dea meaning connection and reality. To the extent that that's real to you and that's intense to you, that's how intense the love, the emotional reaction is going to be. If you've only invested a little bit, if it's a little bumper sticker, you've learned a daily dose, one of these a 1 minute video on a WhatsApp group somewhere, and you got it and you understood it. But if that's the totality of your investment and that's the totality of your clarity and that's the connect of the reality of it, so you're going to love the Eibishter. But it's harbe. If you invest seriously, then the love will be serious, the love will be intense and long lasting and permanent. Therefore, it is incumbent upon a person to focus himself and to make himself exclusive. He has to dedicate himself to those, to understanding, to evaluating, to understanding and deducing and extracting, expanding the different insights that inform him, that clarify to him and demonstrate to him the truth of the Eibishter. Obviously, to the extent that a person is able to understand, because obviously a lot of it is beyond our ability. As we learned in Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah, and that is the final words of Hilchos Teshuva, the final words of Sefer Hamad. I want to urge you to take the Rambam's words seriously. It's not just a Perek Rambam. It's not just something, a halacha to learn and to check off the list. We did the Rambam for the day. The Rambam is telling you how the world works. The world works that if you're going to, this is really the one truth that's real, that's beyond the whole facade that we live in. And if you want to hold on to that, are in contradiction to that, because that comes a knife when I eat the when Yetzer Hara is strengthened by something, it weakens our Yetzer Tov, or weakens our Nefesh and the clarity that it brings us. I want to encourage you to not just learn the halachas that we just learned, but to incorporate them into your life in some ways. It doesn't have to be for the most pure motives, just because a better life. It's pasha the better life. You'll get berachas begashmis, you'll get berachas beruchnius, and Umir Hashem will be balishma, and everything we learn should transform us and change us and elevate us. And mazel tov for the siyum. We'll see you in the next parak.